Well, today on Ignite Agility, we have Vanessa Wash. Vanessa, tell us
Hello.
a little about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Vanessa Wash, and I'm the owner and founder of On Point Speaking. I don't know, is it reversed in
No, it looks
oh,
great. So you must
okay.
have mirror my video, little Zoom trick. No,
Okay.
so
So that's the name of my company, On Point Speaking. And I opened it 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and it's been a great experience. And I teach public speaking and communication. Prior to being a communication and public speaking coach, I was an actor. So I lived in New York for about 12 years, did a lot of TV, movies, theater, plays. And everyone always asks me, well, what have I seen you in? To which I always say, I don't know what you watch. So you might have seen me in something. I was also a lot
Hmm.
younger
Hmm.
then and had brown hair, but it was a good stint in New York. But I loved studying people and learning about them, how they communicate. So it was an easy transition over into the communication corporate world. So that's a little about me.
And my team has looked you up on IMDb, but
I know
they're
you
such
have.
nerds.
Yeah,
So,
for those of you Good Wife fans, I was on The Good Wife and I played Will's assistant for a few episodes. And I remember the first time, it was my first TV job, and I had a scene and I was so nervous, so nervous. And then somebody finally asked me, they're like, do you want props? And I was like, I can ask for props. I was like, yes, give me something to hold because I'm so nervous. And it's funny because I don't get nervous public speaking, but when the pressure's on and you've got all these cameras and all these movie stars and whatever around you, I got nervous. So it was a good experience.
that's a really great transition to what I want to talk about more the communication piece than the public piece, because a lot of our students, graduates, people listening to this podcast might be going, well, I'm not necessarily going to speak, as a presentation on stage or being an actor or an actress or anything like that. I just want to be more confident in speaking to my boss, or I just want to be more confident in speaking when there's stakeholders in the room. What are your thoughts on that, or what do you do with your private clients or your personal coaching clients that can help in that regard?
It's an interesting topic you bring up because often public speaking, people think exactly that. It has to be, I don't do TED Talks. I'm not in front of 500 people every day. Neither am I. I understand.
Right?
So it really is more about day-to-day communication,
Mm.
but both for internal communication as versus external communication, but even things like interview skills, that's absolutely in something that I teach, and how to answer questions, how to answer hostile questions effectively. That's in the program that I teach. And I think it's really important because these are skills that you use every day. And why not become better at them? Because if you have to communicate every day, might as well make it better. And it's interesting because I teach this for business. I try to keep it business related.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people will come to my class and they'll say, oh my gosh, now I'm communicating so much better with my partner. I'm going, oh, well, that's good. But
Bonus.
a bonus, exactly. But it really depends on what you need and what your areas of focus are. Sometimes people say, I just want to eliminate my filler words, things like like so. We absolutely cover that in the program that I teach. Sometimes people will say, I just want to get better at organizing my thinking spontaneously. We absolutely cover that as well. So there's a huge range when it comes to communication, but I think of that as more day to day.
Okay, awesome. And one of the words that is used in the workshop title is leadership. And I don't know if that, means, hey, we're focusing it on your ability to talk to leadership or to speak to people who are maybe higher than you on the food chain. But one of my graduates shared with me recently they were passed over for a promotion because they were told they lacked executive presence. So tell us a little bit about how that gets addressed, or is that addressed in this workshop, I should say.
100%. We have to be focusing on, sometimes people get confused around the term executive presence because
Yeah.
they say, I'm not an executive. So I like to use the broader term of presence. And I get this question a lot where people say, I want to have a better presence. So what does that mean? To me,
Mm-hmm.
it means how do you show up confidently being your most authentic self? So in the program, what we do is we find ways to pull out what are some of your areas of strength and what are some areas of opportunity in your communication to help you amplify your presence. It comes down to confidence, and it comes down to how do you be relaxed enough in any situation, even when the pressure's on, if you're in that interview for a promotion, to be confident and to be your authentic self.
And you spoke to our meetup. Gosh, was it at the end of last year already? I'm losing time. I'm pretty sure it was at the end of last
Me
year.
too. I'm like, what month is it?
We're
January
already
was so long. January was the longest it's ever been.
totally agree with you 100%. And then February is like, whoop, almost over. So you spoke to our virtual meetup about, excuse me, enhancing your virtual presence.
Yes.
And before we hit the record button, you and I were talking about the interesting times we're living in where some people are told you have to come in 100%, or nope, we're 100% virtual, or the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that it's mixed mode. Thoughts on virtual presence versus in person?
Everyone prefers something different. There are the unicorns that like both. I prefer always in person because you really start to feel people's energy in the room. You get to see more of their body language. When we're virtual, half of my body is cut off and you can't see what it's doing. And
And
you
hopefully everybody's wearing pants in
and
case they
hopefully
stand up.
I am, I promise. But it's really about communicating and using your whole body when you're in person. When you're virtual, that communication gets shrunk down into a smaller frame. So you have to be more conscious of how you're communicating, especially to a camera. It's very
Mm-hmm.
confusing, and we don't have the direct eye contact. So I think in today's world, we have to be good, unfortunately, at both. And
Yeah.
there are ways to do that if you know the rules of the game.
What's one of those rules? Just to give everybody a little teaser. What would one of
Sure.
those rules of the game be?
One of the biggest is your gesture space. If you and I were in a room, I mean, we hung out together a lot. So you in person, I'm gesturing this big, right? And I'm telling you stories. I'm going, Angela, I have to tell you about this client I had or this program I'm teaching. But now that you and I are meeting virtually, it's like I have these little pterodactyl arms, right? So you can actually see my gestures and
Mm-hmm.
we can talk to each other. So it's really about that spatial awareness and how you're using your body.
Nice. Now, the workshop is one day. We are going to do it in person. We are going to do it live in person so we can, feed people, give them lunch, all the things. But in that in person workshop that we're going to do, will you touch on some of the virtual things just because of the inevitability of the world that we're living in?
100%. There's a whole, I think it's 30-minute section just on virtual communication because yes, we will obviously be talking about in-person communication, but I have to address virtual communication because we're all still doing it and it's not going away.
No, for sure. Definitely not. One of the things that we like to do in some of our workshops is role play. And one of my students, I can hear her voice just living rent free in my head at the moment. She's like, "Oh, I hate role play. I hate simulations." And it's like, but they're so needed, in my opinion, because when you are caught off guard or you do get a question you're not entirely prepared for, practice makes permanent, in my opinion. What's your thought on that? And do you do any sort of practice in the workshop?
Oh, yes. It is not just me speaking at the group for however many hours it is. That would be, nobody wants that.
Okay.
So it's a lot of me teaching and then they have to do. This scares people, but there is some filming involved. But
Mm,
there's a reason for that. And a lot of people are scared of cameras and they don't want to look at themselves because the reason why is that when people are filmed and then they have to watch themselves back, the first place they go is their aesthetic. Oh no, I'm so fat, I'm so skinny, I have a zit on my face, I don't like my hair color. Oh, I should have lost, whatever it might be. They're only looking at how they look. But what I try to get people to do is to focus on how they are communicating. How are they using their instrument, their body, to communicate? That's what we want to focus on. So that's my biggest goal, is to get people away from how they look and to start to look at how they're actually using their body to communicate, because you can't change the way you look. I mean, you can do a few things, but your body is the one that's communicating. So it's really important. And I will say this to your client that doesn't like improv or role play. I try to live by do the thing you hate, because if you just lean into it and try it, you're going to get better and better and better at it. And especially true for public speaking. When people say, I hate speaking in public, I don't like it, try it out, do it. Because if you can challenge yourself to do something small like that, other challenges start to get a lot and lot easier. So I always say, try to do the thing you hate.
Well, and how do you get better at doing anything?
100%.
By actually doing it. You have not lived till you watch yourself back on video, says the person who's on video like every day of her life. Nobody's looking at what your hair looks like or what you're, wearing or that. It doesn't happen. They zero in on the message.
And the other thing is, people might not be aware of some of their habits. And I will tell them, you do this thing, for example, that you flip your hair when you end a sentence. They go, no, I don't. And they will argue with me. And then I play back the video and they go, oh, I do that. And I said, yeah. So creating that awareness around your habits when you can see them and start to actually feel them is where the change happens.
I didn't have a video camera with me, and I didn't feel it was appropriate to pull my phone out in person in the workshop that I was observing with a colleague years ago. But filler words, or I call them word whiskers, right? They hang on
Oh,
your
that's
chin like
cute.
a whisker.
I haven't
He
heard
kept
that.
saying, right, right,
Cute.
right, right at the end of every single sentence. And at a break, I said, I know you're looking for validation. I know you're desperately trying to see if they're getting it, if they're hearing you, but you got to stop saying the word right at the end of every single sentence. And he's like, okay, got it. And then he goes back up there and he's like, okay,
Oh no.
okay,
Just
okay. And
pop it out.
I'm like, don't replace it with something else.
Well, but the interesting thing about that is sometimes people will seek validation in the audience either through words, affirming words like right or okay, or they use upspeak. For example, if I said, hello, my name's Vanessa, and I'm here to talk to you about public speaking, you're going, are you? Because that upspeak, you don't sound confident. So
Right.
really, it's about finding that confidence to not seek validation. In the acting world, I would call this being a director-proof actor, meaning you could have the worst director in the world and you're still going to give a top-notch performance because you have the skills to do so. Same idea for public speaking. If you've got the right skills and you've got the right tools, you know that you look good and you are confident when you are speaking. You don't have to seek validation anymore.
Nice. And again, just as a reminder, we're using the word public, just meaning even in
Communicate.
one-on-one, even, just you're not necessarily given a TED talk. Okay. So in the few minutes that we have left, give us kind of the elevator pitch for the workshop. Like when one of your clients, brings up a scenario and you are like, hey, you're a perfect candidate to come to X. What's kind of your one-liner for the workshop?
Well, a one-liner, learn how to,
Two-liner if you have to, Vanessa.
my one-liner is learn how to speak better authentically.
There you go.
Okay. Now the longer version of that is if you're looking for a promotion or you have just been promoted or you've been in your career for a long time and getting feedback that your communication is not where it should be, or you have all of a sudden a lot more visibility in your role, this is the program for you. Because a lot of times people don't know what they don't know in terms
Yeah.
of communication. So this is a great way to find out how you are communicating and how you can do that better. So in one day, we do a lot of filming, a lot of taping, but we talk about storytelling for business. We talk about how to answer questions and hostile questions, how to build and boost your confidence, and many, many, many other tools and ideas. But I think that in one day, you will walk away being more confident to speak in any situation.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And we will put the upcoming workshop in the show notes and how to register. Thanks for stopping by today, Vanessa.
Thank you. It's good to see you.